The apartment was like any other in Hong Kong's neon-lit maze, a cramped, gray block tucked into the bustling city. The world outside moved on with its usual rhythms, never aware of the horrors that had seeped into the walls of a small, unassuming room on the 5th floor. For weeks, no one had noticed the darkness behind the door. No one had questioned the new visitors coming and going at odd hours, nor the strange, metallic smell that sometimes wafted through the hallway. But then came the doll. It was a Hello Kitty doll, oversized and pink, the kind made to cradle secrets. It sat motionless on a dusty shelf, its bright, empty eyes hiding the story of Fan Man-yee, a young woman whose life had come to a brutal, nightmarish end within these very walls. Fan had been taken here against her will, and over the course of weeks, subjected to unimaginable cruelty. The 3 people who held her here were neither strangers nor foes. To them she was merely a pawn, a vessel upon which they projected their rage, a silent witness to their twisted games. Their leader, Chan, was a man with a haunted past and a mind twisted by both greed and fury. His accomplices, not much younger, followed his lead with chilling obedience, each action pulling them further into a descent they couldn't escape. At first, the beatings had been brutal but brief, punishments meted out for reasons that changed with Chan's moods. But soon the punishment turned to something darker, a grotesque ritual of control and degradation. The young woman became less a person, more an object to be used, a symbol of their anger and desires. Each day, Fan grew weaker, her spirit fading under the harsh lights and ceaseless torment. The doll watched it all, unmoving, its fixed smile an unfeeling witness to the nightmare unfolding in that room. It was a small comfort to Fan, at first a splash of color in an otherwise bleak existence, a reminder of innocence lost. She would stare at it in her moments of lucidity, her mind slipping between memories of childhood and the grim reality of her captivity. But in the end, even that small comfort was twisted, transformed into something unspeakably dark. When the night finally came, there was no silence, only the brutal finality of her captor's hands. When they were done, there was nothing left of Fan Man-yee, save for what they chose to keep. They removed her remains piece by piece, boiling, separating, and scattering fragments, as though even in death she did not deserve peace. All that remained of her was her skull, left to cool in the shadows, empty socket staring out at the apartment walls. It was then that Chan's gaze turned toward the doll. The skull was placed inside, filling the hollow body of the Hello Kitty with a final chilling secret. To anyone else, the doll looked the same as before, pink, cheerful, a child's plaything. But for those who knew, it was a tomb, a grotesque monument to the horrors that had taken place in that room. The doll was set on the shelf, placed with a strange, almost reverent care, as though it were a shrine, an object to be respected, feared. And in that way, the apartment was sealed. The room was cleaned, the walls scrubbed, the remnants removed. But something lingered in the air, something that seeped into the floorboards, clung to the walls, a heavy, oppressive weight that no amount of scrubbing could remove. The doll sat in silence, bearing witness to what had happened, as the world outside moved on, unaware. Months passed, and rumors began to drift through the neighborhood. Tenants whispered about strange sounds in the night, the faint thud of footsteps where there should be none. Some claimed to hear a soft whispering, a voice too faint to understand, as though carried by a breath that no longer belonged to the living. It was said that if you looked closely, the doll's eyes seemed to shift, staring back, the empty sockets hidden beneath the pink fabric filling with shadows. Finally, someone spoke up, and the police arrived. They entered the apartment, opening the door to the stale air within. The officers felt it immediately, the sense of wrongness, of something profoundly disturbed. The doll sat waiting on the shelf, its painted smile unchanging, its hollow body concealing the remains of Fan Man-yee. When they lifted it, the skull rolled within, a sound that would haunt them long after. And yet, as they carried the doll from the room, one officer thought he felt a flicker of movement, a light brush against his shoulder, a voice so faint it might have been imagined. "Remember me." To this day, the doll sits in a case, its secrets preserved in the cold sterility of evidence lockers. But those who come near swear they can feel her presence, trapped in the unfeeling smile of Hello Kitty, waiting, haunting, forever locked away behind glass. A reminder of the darkness that can take root in the most innocent of places. If you like this story, and for more dark stories, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. See ya!